What happens when a music icon walks onto a talk show stage expecting a friendly chat, only to discover she's been lured into a trap right in the middle of live television? The moment Cher sat down on The View, the temperature dropped, the smiles turned sharp, and every innocent question hit like a loaded weapon. Within minutes, a routine interview detonated into one of the most explosive on-air confrontations daytime TV has ever seen. A clash so fierce, so personal, and so unfiltered that even the hosts didn't know how to contain the monster they'd unleashed. Who do you think would break first in a moment like that? Please watch until the end. It'll be worth every second of your time. Cher stepped onto The View that morning. Something felt off. She wasn't even fully in her chair before Joy leaned forward with a smile that didn't reach her eyes and said, "Well, I hope you're feeling stable enough today to talk about your book." It was a sentence wrapped in politeness, but sharpened like a blade. Cher paused, studying Joy the way a boxer sizes up an opponent. Calm, steady, already seeing the hit for what it was. She gave a slow, cold smile. Not friendly, not warm, just controlled. Joy didn't back down. She cleared her throat, pretending it was just harmless curiosity. "So Cher, how do you manage to stay relevant for 50 years? The word relevant floated in the air like a trap waiting to snap shut. Cher didn't flinch. Her voice was even, but there was steel underneath. "I stay relevant by being talented, Joy. Not by stirring up drama or reading lines someone hands me. My work speaks for itself." And then Joy's smirk on her face, a short little laugh that wasn't even subtle. Cher's head turned slightly, slow and deliberate, like she was giving Joy one chance to back up. But Joy didn't. She just sat there, amused, as if this whole moment was nothing but entertainment. Cher let out a soft breath and locked eyes with her. "Sweetheart," she said, voice low, calm, and cutting. "I've heard that kind of laugh from people who have no idea what they're talking about." The smirk died instantly. For a moment, no one spoke. No one even moved. Sunny didn't waste a second. She leaned in with that calm but deadly tone she uses when she wants to sound reasonable while throwing a grenade. "So Cher, is this book your way of heating up your name again? You know, after your career started to cool down?" It felt like the whole table froze, but Cher didn't blink, didn't smile, didn't flinch. She just tilted her head a little, the way someone does when they're deciding whether to laugh or fire back. Then she fired. "Cooling down? Whose career are we talking about? Mine? Or this show that's been struggling to keep its ratings alive?" The hit landed so cleanly that Sunny actually pulled her head back. Joy shifted in her seat. Whoopi pretended to look at the cards in front of her. Sarah's smile fell right off her face. But Alyssa saw an opening and decided to jump in, like someone who learned nothing from the last time she smirked at the wrong moment. She leaned forward, chin high, voice dripping with that "I'm just being honest" tone that always means trouble. "Well, there are rumors. People say you've stayed powerful in Hollywood by aligning yourself with the right people. You know, those in power." Cher's mouth curled into a slow, amused smirk. Not friendly, not forgiving. "Rumors from who?" Cher asked. "Failures? Or people who are jealous they never made it past the first rung?" Alyssa stiffened. Sunny blinked hard. Joy's eyes widened just slightly. Cher wasn't done. "I don't align myself with anyone. I don't need to." She let that hang for a beat, then added, "But it's cute watching you all team up, like you need backup just to take on one guest." Joy had been quiet for a moment, watching the tension rise around the table like steam building in a pressure cooker. Then she leaned back slightly, crossed her arms, and dropped the line that lit the fuse. "Well, maybe your time has just passed, Cher. It happens. People move on." She said it casually, like she wanted it to sound harmless, but it landed like a slap. Cher's eyes widened for a split second, then narrowed with a fire that didn't need volume to be dangerous. "My time has passed," she repeated, her voice low and steady. "Joy, I was headlining arenas while you were still trying to get through a 5-minute comedy set without being booed off the stage." Joy's lips pressed into a tight line. She'd started the fight, but she clearly hadn't expected a blow that sharp. Cher didn't wait. She turned her attention to the entire table, her voice gaining momentum. "Sonny," she said first, "you call that a question? That wasn't journalism. That was a cheap setup for drama." Sonny opened her mouth to respond, but Cher lifted a hand, just a slight motion, enough to silence her. Then Cher moved on. "And Alyssa, sweetheart, reading Twitter and repeating what you find doesn't make you a political analyst. It just makes you loud." Alyssa stiffened, face tightening, but Cher wasn't slowing down. "Sarah," she said, gentler but still sharp enough to cut, "if you don't understand what we're talking about, you don't have to pretend. It's okay not to jump in just to say something." Sarah swallowed, her eyes dropping to the table. And then Cher turned back to Joy, the woman who had lit the match. "You," Cher said quietly, "you're not asking questions, Joy. You're digging for excuses to take cheap shots. There's a difference." Joy blinked, caught between anger and embarrassment. But Cher wasn't finished. She leaned forward, elbows on the table, her voice dropping to a controlled, dangerous calm. "If you want a real conversation, ask real questions. If you want to fight, then just say that. I'm right here." The panel sat frozen. They tried to gather themselves, tried to put on that calm, daytime TV tone again. A tone meant to look mature, but came off as condescending. Sunny folded her hands, leaned forward, and spoke with that practiced voice of reason she uses when she wants the audience to think she's above the fight. "Cher, look, we're just trying to have an honest conversation here. That's all. We're just trying to keep things truthful." Cher let out a soft, almost amused breath. "Honest," she said quietly. "Sonny, honesty doesn't need four people teaming up against one. That's not honesty. That's a pile-on dressed up as concern." Sonny froze, unsure how to recover. Joy looked down. Alyssa looked annoyed. But none of them pushed back, because Cher wasn't attacking blindly. She was hitting exactly where it hurt. The tension mellowed for a moment, but the air was still sharp. Sarah tried to step in, her tone soft and careful, the way someone speaks when they're approaching a wounded animal. "Maybe we're misunderstanding each other," she said. "Maybe this just escalated in a way nobody meant." Cher turned her head toward her, not unkind, but unfiltered. "I didn't misunderstand anything," she said. "I heard every word clearly, and I know exactly what it sounds like when people try to erase my worth." Sarah's mouth closed. There was no comeback to that, because Cher wasn't accusing. She was stating a fact. Cher leaned back slightly, her voice steady and controlled, still burning under the surface. "If this is your version of truth, then maybe that says more about this table than it does about me." The room had gone quieter, but not calmer. Joy sat up straighter, adjusting her cards like she needed something to hold on to. Then she cleared her throat and slid in a question that was anything but innocent. "Well, Cher, some people say you're difficult to work with, that you're, you know, demanding. Hard to manage." She said it softly, as if lowering her tone made the words less sharp. Cher didn't bother hiding the slow exhale she let out. "Joy," she said, "I'm only difficult for people who use their mouths to tear down instead of build up. If someone's working in good faith, I'm the easiest person in the room. But if they're trying to start trouble," she gave a small shrug, "I finish it." Joy swallowed hard, her gaze flicking sideways as if hoping someone else would jump in. But Cher wasn't waiting for that. She leaned forward, both hands on the table now, her voice deceptively calm. "You know what the real issue is?" she said. "All this so-called concern about my reputation isn't concern at all. It's a cover, a polite little mask hiding something a lot uglier." The panel stiffened. Cher scanned the table, eyes sharp enough to cut. "Jealousy," she said simply. The word hit the room like a dropped weight. "Every comment you've thrown at me," Cher continued, "every dig, every rumor, you wrap it up like you're worried about my career. But you're not worried. You're irritated. You're irritated I've lasted longer than people expected. You're irritated I still matter. You're irritated I don't crumble when someone pushes me." Alyssa shifted uncomfortably. Sunny's jaw tightened. Sarah looked down. Joy's breath got louder, short, shaky, irritated. Cher wasn't yelling. She wasn't even raising her voice. but her words were squeezing the room, tightening everything like a coil ready to snap. "Let's call it what it is," she said. "You're not trying to protect me. You're trying to knock me down a peg so you can feel taller." Alyssa had been shifting in her seat for a while, clearly waiting for her moment, and when she finally spoke, her voice didn't ease into it. "Well, Cher, there are people who say you've sabotaged other women's careers to get ahead, that you've stepped on people to climb." The table went dead still. Cher didn't answer at first. She stood up, slowly, calmly. When she finally spoke, her voice hit harder because she didn't raise it. "Not yet." "I don't sabotage anyone," Cher said, "but I do notice when people sabotage themselves by being jealous, insecure, and spreading garbage without a single fact behind it." Alyssa's cheeks flushed instantly. She looked away, suddenly small, but Cher wasn't done. She took a step toward the table, her presence swallowing the space around her. Then she lifted a finger and pointed, not aggressively, but with the precision of someone about to deliver the truth directly to its target. "You," she said, looking straight at Alyssa, "you say I thrive on drama? Sweetheart, you cried on national TV 3 times because someone left a mean comment on your Instagram." Alyssa's jaw dropped open, speechless. Cher turned to Sunny next. "And you call me unprofessional? I don't need Google, a prep sheet, or a team of researchers to understand a question. I've lived enough life to answer anything you throw at me." Sunny's face tightened, her hand frozen halfway to her water glass. Finally, Cher shifted her attention to Joy, the match that lit the entire fire. "And you said I'm past my time? I have Grammys, an Oscar, Golden Globes, and a soul you couldn't buy even if this show paid you 10 times what you're making." The last line wasn't dramatic for effect. It was just true. The table fell completely silent. Cher stood there steady and unshaken, staring down 5 women who looked like the ground had just moved under them. Whoopi finally pushed back her chair and stood up. She didn't shout. She didn't gesture wildly. She just rose slowly, like she wanted to use her presence to cool things down. "Okay, Cher, that's enough. We need to—" Before she could finish, Cher snapped her head toward her with a level of authority that sucked all the air out of the room. "Whoopi," Cher said, pointing a firm finger straight at her. "Sit down." The silence that followed wasn't normal silence. "Sit down," she repeated. "Don't make this worse." Whoopi, who had interrupted presidents, argued with comedians, and faced off with half of Hollywood, froze. For the first time all morning, she genuinely didn't know what to do, and Cher didn't wait for her to decide. She stepped closer to the table, one slow step after another, until she was standing right at the edge of it. The host leaned back instinctively, as if her presence alone was too much. When Cher spoke again, her voice dropped into a low, controlled, unshakable tone. "You don't want answers, you want headlines." She scanned the table, eyes moving from one woman to the next. "You're not interviewing me. You're setting traps. Little sound bites you can twist and clip so you look tough and I look unhinged." Joy's eyes flicked downward. Sunny exhaled sharply. Alyssa crossed her arms like a shield. Sarah swallowed hard. Whoopi stayed still. Cher kept going. "But here's what you don't get," she said. "I'm not a prop for your show. I'm not the little victim you bring on so you can feel powerful." Her voice sharpened with each word. "I've stood in this business for 50 years without tearing down another woman. I never needed to. My work, my voice, and my name were enough." She paused, just long enough to make every heartbeat in the room audible. "Meanwhile, all of you can't get through 50 minutes without taking cheap shots at someone. Today it's me. Tomorrow it'll be another woman who walks through that door." The words hit the table like a hammer. Cher leaned in slightly, voice steady, deadly calm. "You think I'm the one who should be ashamed? Look at yourselves. Look at what you've become." The table was silent, not because the tension eased, but because everyone finally realized they were standing in the wreckage of a fight they started and completely lost. Cher took one slow breath, steadying herself, then spoke with a clarity that cut sharper than anything she'd said before. "I came here to talk about my book," she said. Her voice wasn't angry now, just honest. honest in a way that hurt more than any explosion. You brought me here to tear down my name, to corner me, to twist everything I said. Her gaze swept across the panel, one face at a time. But look at where we are. My reputation is still intact. And yours? She let out a small, humorless laugh. Well, that's what's burning now, not mine. None of the hosts said a word. Joy looked stunned. Sunny blinked rapidly, like she wanted to push back but couldn't find any ground left. Alyssa stared at the table. Sarah's lips were trembling. Whoopi stayed frozen, still standing, but clearly defeated. Cher didn't drag the moment out. She didn't need to. She placed her microphone on the table, gathered her notes, straightened her jacket, and turned toward the exit with the kind of calm only someone who knows they've won can carry. Halfway to the door, she stopped, turned back, and delivered the line that would echo far beyond the studio. Good luck explaining why it took 5 of you to try to break one woman, and you still failed. No shouting, no drama, just truth, simple, sharp, unforgettable. With that, Cher walked out. No hesitation, no looking back. And the hosts were left sitting in the ashes, trying to figure out how the interview they planned to control became the one that exposed them instead. The door clicked behind her. Curtain down. If you thought daytime TV couldn't get any messier than this, think again. Cher didn't just survive that ambush. She flipped the entire table on live television and walked out with her dignity untouched. So tell me, who do you think crossed the line first? Cher or the hosts of The View? Drop your thoughts below, hit like, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next jaw-dropping showdown. Because if this is what happens on a simple interview, you have no idea what's coming next.